Hello and welcome back to the Gold Advantage. Week 1 of Worlds has just finished and it has been an amazing week for EU. Not so good for NA, but I think Scoot and Bliven are like copium by saying that the West has gone 6-12 or something like that. Trying to latch onto us. How's it going, guys?
Us?
I'm not latching on to shit.
Oceania's not doing
It's
very
not
well.
us. It's never been us. This whole like NA, EU, like the West is successful and all those memes on Twitter. It's never us. You know?
Agreed.
Congrats on your victories, but somebody will fall apart.
Yeah.
And you know it's coming.
I do.
Like I think you know that as well. We've already had ours. That's
I
the
think
good thing.
who's
Got it out
for
of the system.
actually I want to dive into this because we had quite a nice little spread of it.
Let's just get right to it.
How happy I am after asking you guys twice, 2 episodes.
Yep.
What is the minimum bar for Cloud9? You guys were like, we can't answer that. What is even the point of talking?
No,
blah
that's
blah
not
blah.
true. That's
and
not true.
I was
We
like,
said the
is
minimum
it semis?
bar.
You guys
We
were
said the
talking.
minimum bar was quarters.
I'd like to be very clear here. I'm going to be silent until this is over.
Like Cloud9 is the greatest team ever, and blah blah blah. But you wouldn't said it.
You're disparaging our previous
You wouldn't said it.
We said
I'm not getting involved until it's over, and then I will make my statement.
Quarterfinals was the minimum viable, and you're like, oh, that's not even very good. Blah blah blah.
It's
blah,
not.
blah. And I was like, no, that is pretty
It's
good.
like greatest NA team ever, and they can't even they just make it as far as
right now
every
the
other
greatest
NA
NA
team
team ever can't even win a game. And so my statement on the matter is that NA. Now, what's funny is I think we got way too much NA hopium watching the playoffs when they're playing against each other.
Yeah.
Beat up shitty other teams. It's like, oh, look at this. NA's amazing. What I will say is that this is an embarrassment by NA. And I am ashamed to have come on this podcast and beat our chest as loud as we have. Do I think that Cloud9 can come out and win a game in Group A at this point? Not particularly. Do I think that EG can win a game in Group B? Not particularly. And do I think that 100 Thieves can win a game in Group D? I don't know. I thought we could beat at least Flying Oysters, but at this point, I'm not particularly excited about that either. I think this could go down as the world's worst NA performance.
It's good. Rebuttal?
You done? Okay. Well, it's a great day to be me. One, because now that Chris is off the boat, C9's going to win. That's the great thing here. So, I don't really care about 100 Thieves or EG. It was never about them. This whole thing stems around C9. I think past meta would have suited them better on a world stage. I will agree that they don't look nearly as good as they did near the end of finals. I still think they have one of the most difficult groups at Worlds to get out of.
They do have a difficult
especially
group.
Especially with Fnatic overperforming to the level that they are. Now, we're also talking about the most clutch team that North America's ever put on a world stage.
I disagree.
Reminder
Big
of
time.
what they did last year.
I think the most clutch was the Cloud9 team that made it through the gauntlet, reverse sweeping 3 times in a row.
I'm saying org.
Well, you said team, so all right. So
yeah, well, it is team and the org are the same thing. But
maybe
if Cloud9 has
world.
anything in their DNA, it is clutching and exit from groups. The problem for them now, I think they will be successful in week 2, and we'll see what it leads to at the end of the day. They really realistically have to go 3-0. That's the only option. The problem is tiebreakers and where like second place teams end up because they have to beat T1, so then T1 has to go 4-2 to end up at the top of the group, and then Fnatic and EDG will be somewhere in the middle, and one of them will probably be 3-3. So it's an interesting position we're in. I still hold it very true that they are going to get out of groups. And on my prior statement, I didn't answer your question before about what the minimum requirement is because I had them winning Worlds. So that is my minimum requirement, and it has been. And they will still win Worlds.
If they go 3-0, then that puts them at 3-3.
Well
at
done.
which point,
Quick math.
EDG, Fnatic, and T1 all have to only win.
Well, T1 goes 2-1. So because they lose to Cloud9 and they beat the other 2 teams.
Okay.
And of course, my reality.
So then Fnatic and Edward both
so
go.
So they're 4-2.
1-2 or 3 or 0-3.
No, 0-2.
Somebody goes 0-3.
So they go 1-2.
So which one?
Fnatic
Fnatic or EDG goes 0-3.
Fnatic goes 0-3.
You're predicting the collapse.
2-4 predicted collapse.
Okay.
I mean,
that
dude,
still doesn't get
they've
them
done
in
this-
yet. That
listen.
still puts them in a playoff.
Yeah, tiebreaker with EDG, easy win. I think that's free. When you've gone 3-0, it's free at that point. You should be able to handle that. I mean, come on. Also, like on the Fnatic note, I think they've been successful so far.
Well, hold on. Well, you're jumping ahead here.
been a
I haven't
lot
had
of-
my bid on Cloud9. What do you? Well, what's this? Well,
go
yeah.
ahead,
All right.
go
All right.
ahead. I'll let
Actually,
you
I want
know.
to.
You're not allowed
I'll
to.
tell
You're
you
not
why
allowed to
Fnatic's
comment
gonna
on
win.
Cloud9.
Mash NA together. So I think EG just unfortunately have like what I would say is the best team in their group, and then Damwon, I think we were talking about this, is on par with like T1. One of them is the best. If you want to say T1, fine. I think Damwon is playing really well as well. Like it's fair enough. So
You're
but I
dismissing
think
Gen.G already?
I would just kind of say no. Sorry, I meant like out of those two. I think like I would say Gen.G. I actually think all three of them are on par. I think DRX is
Gen.G doesn't
quite a
look
little
great,
bit
but
worse.
we'll
I
get
will. Yeah, I agree with that.
Well, what
And
about
then We'll
DRX?
get to that. I think DRX is the
DRX not
worst
that good.
out of them. Yeah. So anyway, so EG are kind of setting that aside. They have some really bad drafts. I think 100 Thieves have actually had good drafts, but they're kind of going into skill-based drafts where they're facing off against just better teams like RNG and Gen.G. And it's like, don't draft for this skill matchup when you're going against some of the most mechanically gifted players in the world.
Well, this
And so
I mean, Peanut said that
it's
too.
just
He was
it's a real shame.
LCS can get leads, but they make a lot of mistakes that cost them.
And
games.
this is what I was
He
gonna
said
say,
that
yeah.
after. Yeah,
And this is
It's
I
exactly
talked
that.
about this in our Discord, so shout out Discord if you want to see what we're talking about. We're talking live games, all that. You can find it in the kind of comments below or the description below. But basically, we have had so many incredible players, like world champions, great NA players, great EU players that come to NA and they just fucking suck. And it's not the players. You can't. Like after so many great players, you got to look at it and recognize that something is wrong with the NA infrastructure and the coaching and the way the systems, as Cloud9 puts it, are set up, because they are squandering great talent. I think Cloud9 is a great team. I think Fudge is a great player. I think Fudge is good enough to go toe-to-toe against any of these top laners and other teams, and I think he can carry. The problem is he hasn't been. And honestly, Cloud9 has just been playing bad. They are putting all their eggs into the Fudge basket. He's not fucking carrying. They're like playing sometimes like weak side Azir, where they're leaving Azir, Jensen's Azir, alone top lane, and then they're trying for the fifth time to do some weird gank on Lissandra bot lane Jax, which is not going to work again. And at a certain point, you've got to adapt and recognize that what you're doing is not working. First time, fine, maybe it's a fluke. Second time, you got to re-recognize. And the third time, Fudge's stat lines are just bad. And I don't think that's just on him. I think that's as a team. And unless they really flip that script and they go, okay, you're good enough to live alone on the top side, we'll try and get you ahead a little bit, but you need to either play tank, or if you play Jax, you're solo, and we're going to focus on the rest of the team. I just don't think they're going to win anything.
Well, they've wasted so many resources and so much time in every single game that they've played trying to get him back in the game after he's already behind, that it's like such a shame to the rest of the team. I don't even think I've watched I haven't even watched them in lane alone for a lot of these games. It's almost
it's like what about
non-existent,
Jensen? What about Berserker? Like, you need to support them, because we've actually seen across the board some really interesting metas. Like Rogue is 3-0 by playing through the bot lane.
Yeah, this is exactly where I was going to go with this exact comment. Sorry, Scoot, but they're listening to the conversation about the meta too much and not sticking to their gameplay, what won them and got them to Worlds. And to your point, it's like Rogue's going through the bottom lane. You don't have to go through top. And if Fudge isn't giving you the kind of performance that you need, which clearly he isn't, stick to what you're good at. Choose the champions that you know that you've had success with. It might not favor the meta to such a degree, but it's not like the meta was like close down the other two fucking lanes. It's like go top lane.
Also,
Otherwise,
the meta's not working for you.
Yeah.
Well, I think this is also
That's that.
a couple points here. So I will back up your statement about regardless of whether or not the system works in the LCS, it's clearly broken internationally. And to go 0-9 as a region is completely unacceptable.
It's
like
embarrassing.
regardless of whether or not C9 actually clutches up and gets out of groups, you can't be in this position in the first place.
Correct.
Like you just should not be.
Yeah.
They will get out of groups, but it's like this can't happen. You need to get ahead in some regard or get a win on day one. Second of all, I do like the points about the meta, but I will also point to like, you look at Rogue, Malrang's playing out of his fucking mind. And not to go to Group C already, but like their whole team is playing extremely well, and they are winning through bot. But it's also, I think we're at a state, and like I think the real winner this year is the game, because we're at a state where it's not a clear cut. This is how you win games, which I think we wind up with for a lot of worlds. You can really realistically win any way you want. Like you're watching JDG slam down on G2 late game with a Fed Sivir Yumi lane, and like Renekton's not even realistically a factor in that game. And you would have expected
Fnatic
it to
Humanoid
be,
is playing through the mid lane, like playing out of his mind.
Like you've got a lot of different ways to win, and I think you can come with your own game plan and really be creative in this meta. And it's a shame it's being squandered in some regard. And I do agree with you a little bit, Chris. They've focused on a lot of what people have said is the way to play, but teams are going way outside of the box right now and getting real creative. It's like this is an electric worlds to watch for sure.
And I'm not blaming Fudge. I know a lot of people are like,
game.
oh, Fudge is ego picking and stuff like that. And LS kind of has had a stupid response to that, being like, is it not ego pick because he smashed Khan last year? And I'm like, it is kind of an ego pick. It is and it isn't. He's good enough to ego pick into these people, but right now it isn't working, and the ego pick is that he's going, no, I can do it, and failing rather than adapting and recognizing, maybe, look, you might be Kobe, but if Shaq is playing fucking great, let Shaq win you the game, and vice versa. And you've got Berserker in the bot lane, you've got Jensen, you've got Blabber.
Yeah,
like,
and I think
maybe you need to support
on the
them.
team. It's on the coach, and it's on the team to get them to buy in and be like, hey, Fudge, keep doing what you're doing, but we're not going to give you the same support. We have to prioritize something else. What we're doing right now isn't working. Yeah. Look, not to keep hammering on NA, because honestly, I can't believe that we've spoken for 10 minutes about a group that's gone 0-9. I think if you're okay with it, I would like to ask you the one question, which is, are we convinced that Top Esports is the China team that's going to blow it?
Not entirely. I actually think I think they had a rough week. I don't know. I think Rogue is absurdly good. I don't think DRX is that good, and obviously Gam right now looks like a free win. So like, if any team's gonna bounce back well, I think it's
either EDG or it's EDG or it's Top that's gonna blow it. Like, I mean, RNG looks so good. And so does JDG.
RNG looks really clean, but RNG also could.
They are.
Okay.
You know what? They were like stalling a little bit in play-ins. They were stalling in play-ins, and then they fucking figured out the gears, and then are shifting up.
Don't forget, the other difference there is that they have to play against Flying Oysters and 100 Thieves. They literally couldn't blow it. That's 2 free wins. They're already at 5-0.
I will say 100 Thieves is definitely capable of beating them. Let's be very clear.
100 Thieves, I actually think 100 Thieves
they were close.
They are. It is. But unfortunately, I don't believe it.
If RNG already plays, and I don't know the schedule, but if RNG's up 5-0, then maybe 100 Thieves has a chance of beating them.
No, but
my historical bias too here is that last time that a Chinese team like really blew it was Top. Yeah. So like I don't want to be the guy that's like, oh, they're gonna do it again.
Choke again.
But I don't know. I think like them honestly being 1 and 2, maybe it's a kick in the pants that they need to get it in gear. They don't look as good as I expected them to coming into Worlds. Clearly,
I mean, the thing to me is RNG has looked so dominant.
That's insane.
RNG has looked so dominant and so clean, and so has JDG. Whereas Top's 1 and 2, as you said, EDG very nearly was 1 and 2.
Yeah.
And this is, you mentioned Fnatic. Fnatic is playing out of their mind. I would actually, I think, not who said Kadril said that he thinks Humanoid is the best performing mid laner at the moment, and I think I agree with that. His Azir is obscene, and some of the plays he's been making. And that game where they played against EDG and they gave Viper 3 kills in like 9 minutes. He had 2 kills in 3 minutes, went down, got a pickaxe. That game was over at that point, and yet Fnatic managed to kind of scrape it back. They played incredibly well from a huge deficit, like a game-losing deficit. If that doesn't happen, I'm like, obviously, who knows what happens at that point, but I really think Fnatic goes 3-0 there. So to me, that's one of those things where you need to like watch the score. When you look at the scoreline, it doesn't actually reveal the story. So EDG and Top are the two weakest teams. And I honestly, I don't think Fnatic's gonna implode. Actually, well, I mean, if you guys are happy to, do you guys want to talk about just Group A?
Let's do it.
Well, I was gonna make a point about the RNG one, and like not to, of course, skip all the way ahead to the last group. But
do you want to save it for the last group, or do you want to say it now?
He's gonna forget it by the time we get to the last group.
No, I won't forget it. I've had this point for a couple of days now, and I'll sit on it. A little while longer. Just ping me and trigger the memory a little bit.
I will.
It's about RNG Gen.G in that first match.
You know what? I'm writing a little note of it. Remind Scoot. RNG
reminder. He might fall asleep during
all right.
the podcast.
You know what? Group A is
let's get into
so exciting. Like everything is, like I just said,
it's not the toughest group, but it is exciting.
It is exciting, and I think that Fnatic is playing out of their mind. My prediction: I'm going to open this up with my predictions. T1 and Fnatic get out. I don't think Fnatic is going to collapse. I think they are just. I think they get the meta. I think the players are playing well together. Razork, who has had some real misses, is playing so clutch. Humanoid is carrying like a motherfucker. And Wonder is a rock. And then Upset and Hylissang, are just like delivering every time. So the whole team, I think, is just clicking. Same thing with T1. I think T1 is playing really well as a group. Their drafts seem to be, they're just like, hey, fuck it, we're going to go skill-based matchups, not worry about it too much. So to me, those are the two that are really sitting at the top.
Yep.
I do have a faint hope for Cloud9. I think Cloud9, if they really go to the board, then they are talented enough. They are talented enough to go.
I already ruined his punchline.
They are.
I think they're talented enough. It depends entirely on the coaches.
They're gonna go
and the staff, and like, can they flip the script? It will be.
I think Max Waldo's the guy.
It will be a hell of a story.
He's great
and I
guy.
think it would be amazing if they do.
Okay.
They are digging themselves out of a hole.
This is everything that Scoot wanted out of me. I agree, Nikki, that they have enough talent within them to beat GAM Esports. Unfortunately, they're not playing GAM Esports. Yeah. They're playing a T1 team that is good, a Fnatic team that's better, and an EDG team that is good. I support your perspective. I think Fnatic T1 get out. I think Fnatic wins the group, and I think Cloud9 gets skunked. I'm completely despondent by them and completely off of the wagon.
It is okay. One, C9's going 3-0. Like, I've already established this. It's happening.
I will say,
We're good. I'm not.
I will
worried.
say, Scoot, playoff buff. This is right when he comes alive.
I actually think I was a little bit disappointed. Actually, extremely disappointed in T1's day 2 because they came out against a pretty good Chinese roster, obviously, in EDG, one that won Worlds last year, and they come out with an insanely aggressive, movement-focused draft, which essentially you have to play the game fairly perfect to win, and they did. All they did was say, "We are better than you. We're going to outplay you." You've got Faker on Akali. It was electric, like an unbelievable match, and they seem to just like go into the next day and almost
repeat the draft.
Oh, we're better than Fnatic. It wasn't even a repeat of the draft. It was essentially like, we're better than Fnatic, so we're going to scale a little bit more and play a little bit like slightly more controlled. In the Fnatic game, didn't have an answer for Poppy. And it was slightly confusing to me to see that because I think like with the coaching change and everything, you do tend to like lean into more comfort picks or like players get to draft kind of their own style and what they know. And if anybody knows their style, it's the T1 players individually. That was slightly disappointing. I hope we see a kind of reversion to what we saw on day 1.
I gotta say, I liked it because you know what? They played against EDG, smashed them with Fiora, Lee Sin, Akali, Sivir, and Yuumi. So carry top laner, mobility kind of like...
It was pretty much all carry.
Like, yeah, it's heavy. I mean, Lee Sin isn't so much, but early game he is. And then Akali, Sivir, and Yuumi. So it's like a big... It's like a press W. Just fucking.
It's a huge
when
it's
we
huge
go
damage.
in,
But
everyone's fucking going in. The great thing.
What I'm saying is they backed off.
But I love that. No, not really.
I loved it.
Jax, who's a carry. Viego, who fucking needs to reset and just like combo the shit out of things. Akali again. I guess the Thresh and Aphelios.
It was the Aphelios Thresh lane.
But they're still pretty aggressive.
That's where like the pace slows down.
A bit.
But like it is fairly aggressive, but it felt like it wasn't as much pace focused, more or less like get in your face in Brawl.
Yeah.
Like day one, it's a lot of like you can gap movement a decent amount and like create these plays that the crowd is like, holy fucking shit, what just happened? Whereas like day 2 draft, you don't have.
I know. I liked it. I thought it was a good like let's stress test our limits. To me, it makes me feel that T1 knows they can win.
More importantly,
listen, they do.
More importantly,
that's what's great.
Scoot, how sure are you on Cloud9 3-0?
100%.
60.67.
I'm certain. I mean,
60.67 on a 3-0.
It's in the bag if you really ask me. Like this is the easiest group to go 3-0 in. That's what you guys have wanted me to say.
You know what I'm upset about? Actually, I saw this. Someone went and bet on
against
NA being in week 1 0-6, and like against
they're 0-9.
Yeah, but they bet them 0. They said they would lose 16. They parlayed them. And it was all like what? So they bet on basically the winners, which was 1.2, 1.3 odds on each one. They got 15 times odds. They put down $500 and made $7.5 grand. And I was like, actually, this isn't the first time America's gone 0-9. And I'm like, that's actually not a bad. I'm upset we missed that. That 60 times odds. I'm like, you might as well just like put $5 on it.
Like if anybody's gonna do it, you know who it's gonna be.
It's gonna be you.
Let me remind you. Let me take you back to 2018. It didn't happen from the upper bracket, baby. And then they were saying Cloud9 are your E-League major champions. That's.
By the way,
we'll go back.
Different game. In other bets that are absolutely worth you taking.
Yeah.
Fnatic, despite their fantastic gameplay, is still massive underdogs against T1 and EDG.
Yeah.
You can get Fnatic at a 3.83 done. And you can get Fnatic against Edward at 3.52 done. Like
I would take both of them. I do.
Yeah.
Even if they go 1-1, you're up. It's huge.
Completely.
I mean, it's
such a good
I
bet.
agree. The odds are great. It is such a hard team to have faith in. Let's be like.
Not the way that they're playing.
Yeah, but you say
You
that,
gotta-
and
you
they
go-
were
you know
playing
what?
so well in spring playoffs.
For
and
sure,
then
but
what
you've
happened?
also
They
got to
fell
set
off
that
the fucking
aside.
face of
Like
the earth.
if you see a team is, if you see a Schalke in the making,
That's right.
you jump
That
on the
is
fucking
right.
train. All
That
right.
is right.
So I'm asking Scoot, do you have your ticket?
Logic.
Do you have your ticket, Scoot?
No, we're not doing it. The audio was so loud last time you did it. Please don't do it.
I'm not.
Again.
I know. I learned my lesson last time. But get the
day
fuck off
one
this
viewers,
train.
Day one listeners actually know about that clip right there, and we'll go back and find it one day. Too bad Schalke's not in the league anymore. No, listen. I said I understand the logic. It's great odds. Don't get me wrong. It's just a very hard thing for me to trust based on this.
In a non-hyperbolic way, if you really think Cloud9 is going to, I think I used hyperbolic
win any
in the
game
right way there. Is going to win a game. You can actually bet all three of them. Now, if they only beat Fnatic, you'll lose a bit of money. If they manage to eke out a win against EDG or T1, and I think EDG is the best there, you have 4.54. And actually, with the Fnatic bet, I would look to live bet that, because that will shoot up over 3. Bad draft, one
you
fight,
also get
Dragon that's taken, just live bet it over 3.
2.09 to parlay all 3 of the favorites against Cloud9 for the 0-3 weekend.
You see, I don't love that.
They're not going
I
to
don't love
6.
that.
Get the fuck out of here.
All right, Group B.
I knew you would jump. I knew it. I knew it was a 1-2 or an 0-3 start. I knew you would bail.
1 and 2, there would have been hope. 0-3,
you would have bailed. You would have bailed.
Nope.
You 100% would have bailed. 100%.
Any
losing
I
record.
wanted to point out the EDG T1 matchup. So you can get T1 at 1.75. Now, I'm firmly on the T1 train. I think, I love the way they played. I really thought they were playing well. So barring some stupid draft, I think that's a good one to take. Again, you could live bet it a little bit. It might shoot up to over 2, but I actually think 1.75. I think that's just a good one to take. I will say, just kind of like an FYI, my betting strategy so far in play-ins, one is like I've been basically keeping it to 1 unit, maybe 1.5 at the most, just because it's a best of 1. So keep it tighter. I think best of, and then the other thing is there have been some, and I hate to say this, but I started looking into kill bets, and
Wow.
you know, everyone knows I fucking hate them.
Danger show, baby. The lines are
But
great. The lines
are fucking
They're
great.
The lines are great.
The line seems to, and I'm not been doing the minuses, plus or minus. I've actually been doing total kills. It's between
we like
24.5 and 26.5. That's your range. If you can get 24.5, I would 100% take that. 25.5, I like that. When you get to the 26.5, that's where there was one bet I had, and it was so fucking close to like not hitting. And they tower dove to get it. I think it was RNG, and they dove into like the pool as the camera pans away for the victory. I was like, did he die? Did he die or not? And he did. So I was so happy about it.
I don't know why they haven't figured that out
Was it
yet. By the
Rogue
way,
that sat in the base and waited for respawns?
What's
I
that?
know-
Was that Rogue?
No, I think it
Probably.
was RNG.
I know.
It wasn't. It was a European team for sure.
I know that.
I think it had to be.
I know
Yeah.
that Riot always wants to pan out and show the team celebrating the victory. Can you fucking leave the statistics up until the game is exactly over, so that way we can see how many kills, what the time was, the number of inhibitors, the number of fucking. We're betting on this. Hello, please
help us.
let us get that data and not have to fucking try and rewind YouTube and count it out and shit.
Other thing to mention,
Motion
there have been a
denied, the
lot of
market is
dragons.
not mature
There have
enough.
been a lot of dragons. So getting
yeah.
over 4.5 dragons or over 3.5 dragons, that's one bet
Free.
that I would absolutely take. I think that's a great one. I haven't looked into inhibitors and barons. That's the other thing.
Well, because the stat buffs on the dragons are way
So
higher
important now.
So it just makes sense to go get dragons and get ahead. And now you see stop the scale happening, all that stuff.
So, anyway, I think Group A, we're done with it. We're pretty much in agreement. T1's getting out. Scoot says C9's going 3-0 and winning the tiebreaker. I think Chris and I are leaning towards Fnatic making it out. It will be, my final point on this is, if Fnatic don't make it out, let's say they go 2-1 and they don't make it out, it will entirely be
1 and 2.
1 and 2. It will entirely be because of that one game where they invade jungle against EDG. You take that away, they probably win that group. They probably go 3-0. So if they don't make it out by one game,
If they don't make it out, it'll be because
You don't have to worry about it. They're going to blow up. It's fine.
how
you're good.
gutting will it
Doesn't
be?
matter.
If they go 0-3, it's something else. But if they lose by one game, that game is that jungle invade is the one that's going to be on their mind.
They can
right.
they can blame me if they don't make it out.
Group
B.
I mean, I've got one thing to
Say
say
it.
here. EG is not going to beat JDG or Damwon, but they're going to come away with one win to seal off a year where they have not been able to beat G2.
They haven't beat them once,
And that's it.
They haven't beat them once.
They have not beat them a single time. They've played them, what are we on,
20?
8 times now?
I don't know. 3.18.
This is one of the biggest EU NA international SmackDowns in a single year that
Correct.
I think is in recorded history.
Yeah.
I don't think EU NA teams
All right,
have
if
played
you
this
actually
much.
parlay
they-
that,
I think
if
they
you
actually
parlay
call them
the
their-
win
their
against
daddy.
G2 and the losses against JDG and Damwon, you can get a 4.37.
That's their weekend. That's all they need to do. Just one
They
thing.
literally have to call
They have one goal.
G2. They called Carlos daddy. It's weird.
Well, Carlos is not with G2 anymore. So, and he's also suspended from owning any Riot entity or entity
just for,
involved with it for the next
No,
year.
no. It was only until 2022.
Oh, it's November.
Yeah, it was which was weird, and I think that was just because of the suspension that he was taking 8 weeks of absence. But then because he stepped down, they were like, "We'll just accept that." Look, Group B is. I don't really have a lot to say about it because I think Group A is the most exciting and like the closest race. Group B, I think, is already settled. JDG, Damwon,
clear cut.
Like that's it.
I think your only value is a JDG Damwon face off, pretty much.
Basically,
like I don't think.
And I would take JDG. You know what? I would actually wait to draft. I would see on draft because I do think Damwon has been playing pretty well. We had their matchup was so good. I think that was a day 2 match, and it was just a great game of League of Legends. And JDG seems to play very messy. And I've seen this from a couple of guys who really like them and talking to them in Discord. Shout out to Discord again. But basically, JDG likes to play messy, so you have real opportunities to, to get better odds if you're live betting. So just wait for like a bad fight, because these fuckers just don't stop. It's the most insane thing. It's like 3v4, 3v5, and they're like, guess it's time to go, and somehow they win the 3v5, and it's like 2v2 or 1v2 left, and they're such an electric team.
Their ability to stay on top of like reset timers and everything is unfucking believable. And what they did to G2, and like you could argue that at times they probably should not have won the G2 game for what they were doing, and like everything was perfectly timed. Like it's ridiculous.
Actually, that's something I want to say. That's a big thing. And this is an NA, unfortunately, comment again, which is like a really good example. NA, and this is the difference between when you look at the LPL and the LCK, and to a lesser extent the LEC. I think the LEC is struggling, but better than NA. When they don't want to fight a dragon, they just don't fucking fight a dragon. They're like, oh, we can't take this fight, and they just take towers. They just go and they start taking towers.
Yeah,
they put ward. They just go.
Right. So
NA goes and kind of stands in the water in the river, being like, "Are we fighting? Are we not? We can't really fight. We're not gonna fight." And they take a tower and then a dragon, and then there's nothing to be done. And it's one of the most infuriating things because you're like, you can't fight this. You're just gonna give this up. So go do something else.
Just go cross map. Like all you have to do is give up your objectives and cross map and stay.
Like
in the game.
recognize, and they have an issue. I think recognizing when they can fight and when they can't. Anyway,
they always want to poke. Very much North American to be opportunistic. They're like, but maybe we can steal it.
Yeah,
it's like
no.
Well, it's poking, but it's also just like trying to force the other team to fight so you can turn it, and then it's like
the other team wants to fight. That's the problem. The other team's like, if you want to fight, we'll fucking kill you now. Like, whatever. Do you want us to kill you now or later?
If you want to die, we'll take the dragon and then the tower. It's great for us.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah,
it's fine. Watch this 2-day adaptation from Cena.
Okay, the deal is EG isn't going to win another fucking match.
Do you guys think G2 can turn around?
Right, they're winning
I don't
game.
like the G2 drafts. So I think if they draft better,
I don't
maybe
like
they can do better.
I don't like the G2.
I said this coming into the tournament. I said Rogue looks better than G2.
I swear you didn't.
Yes.
No,
you were like G2.
He said G2's still the best team.
They lost finals and they're still the best team.
Europe, I said coming out of Europe, they would lose finals and still be the best team. And then the Carlos thing happened, and then I said the vibes are probably off. Rogue's gonna be a better team coming into this tournament. I said it. 100%. Go back. Watch it, please.
This man is a fucking scammer.
Check the records.
This guy's a fucking
not a scammer.
He's a scammer because he knows I'm too lazy to go back and check the records and like edit it into.
I said
a clip.
I'm worried about where G2 is considering the situation, and then you were like, "Oh, it probably doesn't affect everything that much." And I was like, "It's still like I don't think it affects it that much, but I think it did enough."
The hard part.
I don't think that you think that Caps is drafting Seraphine mid lane and they're grabbing Darius in top lane because they're sitting on stage going, "Fucking Carlos is gone. Oh shit, we've got to pick a champion." Darius?
So here's the thing.
Actually, being as that I'm in their corporate emails, you actually don't know about Throw for Carlos, which is a current internal initiative.
What I will say is,
except
it has nothing to do with Carlos. I think the reality is, and this is why Group B is the group of death, they have the two best Chinese and Korean teams. And look, I think this G2 team's good. But they're just not, like, no fault of their own. They're just not, this isn't the year where they are Damwon or, JDG good. and that's fine. Nothing wrong with that.
Just
Those two
because
teams are
it's
going to be in the
clear-cut
final
does
anyway.
not mean it's the group of death. Like, it's very clear that two teams in this group are significantly better than the other two.
But
the
G2
problem I
and
have is
EG
that
are still significantly better than.
I think it's G2 can
Cloud9.
only beat Damwon. And the game we have of that was like a Damwon stomp of them on day one, where they also put caps onto Seraphine. So it's not like the best data to take away from it.
Sure. It was the best
I think
of one.
Look, the odds on G2 are 3.06 against Damwon. I don't think that's a terrible bet.
3.34 against JD.
That one I trust less, but maybe JD.
I just think
Gaming
I think you have to spray on both. Like it's similar to our Fnatic reasoning above. I think G2 is a good enough team where if they could win one of them, and you don't want to start trying to get in the business of perfectly predicting which one. Or at least we aren't in that business. Mm-hmm. I think you're better off putting the same size sprinkle on both. There is definitely a chance you win one. Is there a chance you win both? Maybe. If shit gets real crazy, is there a chance you lose both? Of course. So don't.
My only caveat is if you can live bet it, I would probably do that, because if they're going to go for another caps on Seraphine, if they're going to go for Darius, that type of stuff, I don't know if I take that.
Don't bet that.
Whereas if they go like, hey, we're grabbing on top and Silas on caps, then I'm like, yeah, okay, take that, because I think caps is amazing on Silas. So why not put him on that?
Unbelievable on that chain.
Okay, are we good to go to Group C?
I mean, yeah. Just a reminder, though, G2 is G2, and if there's a notable org that could also turn it around, it's probably them. Like, you gotta remember that it's all about name value.
Who's going to turn it around, Cloud9 or G2? You're not getting both.
Could be both, but it's definitely Cloud9 that goes 3-0, obviously.
I think Group C, Rogue has just put themselves in such a good spot. I don't know if you guys managed to catch the kind of overreactions video that Scoot and I did, but we just talked about it. I said I was concerned about how Rogue was winning because they were winning through the bot lane. They continued to win through the bot lane. Larson also put up
they're 3-0.
Yeah, Larson put up also a great performance. Malrang's playing out of his mind. Odoamne is this actually, I think this is the best comparison. Odoamne is not playing carry top, but he is absorbing so many ganks, like 2-person ganks. He's turning them around, not dying. Yep. And I wish Fudge was doing that.
Absorbing is the perfect word.
It is such an amazing, like, just watching him play this is why Odoamne has been a pro for like 8 years. He's phenomenal.
It works about the strategy too.
I just think they're straight up doing really well. I do think Rogue is gonna get out here, and I don't know I don't know between Top and DRX who's gonna win it. I don't think DRX is that good. I think they kind of now been exposed a little bit. Not exposed, but I just think they're not on par. No, yeah, they're not exposed.
They lost to Rogue, and then they've beaten Top and Gam.
Yeah. Exposed was a bit dramatic.
I think. Look, Rogue is 100% getting out. Being 3-0 means you have to win really one more game to get out. Yeah. Luckily, they have to play GAM Esports, and so they're getting out. Now, are they going to come in first or second is the real question. Mm-hmm. And I am still nervous. I obviously wasn't here for the reaction podcast. Look, I am so thrilled to see Rogue playing well. I would love for them to get out, and I don't think they're going 6-0. They could, but I don't see it. I am nervous that you're going to see a DRX team who's had the play-in. They know how things are evolving. They've now played Rogue once. This is a role. DRX surprised us all. They came in first coming out of play-ins. And so this is a team that in their group that included RNG. I think you're sleeping on DRX a bit. I really do.
Scoot, this is your line, so you come on in with this, Scoot. Take him down.
Listen, they're not that good. Let's be very clear. They're scamming off of one victory.
A day one victory.
In play.
Day one victory.
A day one victory. Sleepy RNG. They're literally taking a nap.
They've beaten both China teams that they've played.
Okay, yeah. Top had a bad week. all good.
Look, I think DRX
Top's
could
coming
come
back.
out. I'm not saying DRX can't come out. I'm saying like it's either DRX
could
or
come
Top.
out, but it's gonna
either
be
Top
Top.
fixes everything and
It's
they
Rogue
make
and
it
Top.
out, or Top is just a flop and then DRX gets out by default. But I really think Rogue goes 2-1.
It's
and
Rogue
take
and
first.
Top. There's also, now that Nikki said that Rogue goes 2-1, they clearly go 1-2.
No, don't say this.
Um,
Wait, I don't believe.
But I mean, listen, Rogue is at the highest of highs right now, and we can only hope that that gets higher because we're pushing the limit on like what we're capable of at this moment. Especially like, not trying to jinx the team and all that. And look at how far we've come, Nikki. So please keep your mouth shut. No, listen. All seriousness,
I think you're sleeping.
Top hasn't played that
You're
well
fucking
week
sleeping.
1. I'm not sleeping on DRX.
Both
They're
of
not
you
that
are.
good. Top will beat them,
Okay.
and Top will get out of this
Well,
group. It's
let me
not-
tell you something.
I'm saying that Top. I think DRX can get out.
Top DRX is. Where is it?
I'm saying that Rogue is in the position that Fnatic should have been, and first place is for their taking. I really think first place
DRX
is
is
for their taking.
2.47, and I will take that bet, hands down.
Yeah, I think
I'm
I
not disagreeing
agree
with
with
you
that.
taking the
I would
odds.
take
It's
that.
best of one. It's League of Legends, best of one, esports, all that jazz.
Yeah.
Top's drafts have been suspect to say the least. I don't understand picking Vi right now.
Look, I think
does
the
not make any
Rogue
sense.
I would take.
Rogue is a 2.5 underdog against.
I was gonna
top
say
esports.
that. Yeah, I would take
I would
the
take
Rogue
that.
2.5. I would take
And
the
the
Rogue
DRX.
over DRX 2.08, and I would take the DRX over Top at 2.47.
DRX, the amount of blasphemy that is being spewed towards DRX is unbelievable. I would take DRX going 3-0. That's what I'm picking. 3-0.
I believe more in DRX
It's
than
not
Top.
worth adding in Gig, though.
I believe more
It's
in
not worth the
DRX
risk.
than Top because the way Top has lost, even in their game against Rogue, and there's a lot of people slandering and saying Rogue didn't play that well, Top inted, and I think it's a little bit of both. But Top has lost games because Wayward and Jackie Love have just been
They look so wild.
suiciding themselves. And I don't know if you
it's
fix that.
fucking
Knight is
crazy.
playing out of his mind. Tian is an incredible jungler, but he's also been a little bit invisible. Like they put the interesting thing is they banned 4 junglers, and that's why he was on the Vi. And there's limited
Vi.
things he can do on the Vi. So I'm like, I love that because I'm like, okay, ban 4 junglers every time, stop him from doing it. Knight can't carry by himself, and let
Correct.
Jackie Love and Wayward just int themselves. So to me, I think DRX is going to get out.
Yeah, thank you. Scoot, to your point, I think it was a interesting point worth making. So I just wanted to speak to our gamblers. DRX 3-0, 5.19. If you take out the gambit, it goes to 4.35. So it actually does add
It's not worth the risk.
It adds a good amount of value for you there. I'm taking that risk for the extra
not worth the risk.
one.
Actually, you know what? That DRX
I'm
versus
not
Top
adding
game
that
was
in there
fucking
for
great.
no reason.
I'm just remembering it. That was the game where Beryl
So good.
was on. He was playing Braum, and just the way he was mind gaming. What's his name? Jackie Loves Draven, and like holding the shield and stuff was like so good, so good.
Beryl
DRX
and
3-0.
Beryl and Deft are my two concerns.
I love Beryl.
They're my only concern.
Why would
for
you?
Top
Why
not
would you be
getting out.
concerned after that game?
Yeah.
No. For Top
Oh,
not getting
okay,
out.
okay.
Honey,
Oh.
open your ears. A
I think
little bit.
Knight is playing
Let's listen to the kids
incredible.
speak.
I
And
think
then-
I think I've converted Nikki onto my side.
No, I always
Scoot
said
is-
it could be
I'm not
either of them,
converting on
but
this.
yeah,
Scoot is
I
still
think I'm
sleeping.
gonna lean towards DRX.
Resist.
Scoot is just like Cloud9.
Resist.
Sleepy.
Especially when Top gets hot, game 1. I mean,
This
like,
isn't
after
T1.
that,
This isn't T1.
start the
It could be. It
steamroller.
could be.
It's
maybe.
over for that
maybe.
day.
But like my problem. Actually, I would rather that. I would rather they do because I think if they get hot, then Rogue is definitely getting first place.
Hot.
Because if Rogue
Yeah,
goes 2-1
correct.
and they go 3-0,
3-0.
that means that Rogue is in first place.
Actually,
Yeah,
they
automatically.
So.
No.
Yeah, because
They-
Rogue will be
Top- they've scheduled
five
this
and 1. Rogue will be
perfectly, too.
5-1, and DRX and Top will be 4-2.
Oh, you're saying they
and-
go 2-1? Sure.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah.
Well,
And
DRX
that-
isn't
so-
going 1-2, so This
I mean, top DRX is the last match of the day. For
I
a
think
reason,
I
let's
think
be very
DRX does.
clear.
Well, okay, I don't think DRX is. I just think that top game, top versus DRX game, just showed DRX is better than top.
Correct.
And I think
Correct.
they'll continue.
Thank you.
on.
Thank
And
you.
I think top has more
DRX,
liability.
last match of the day.
Welcome to the bandwagon.
All right, there we go.
It's a great scheduling by the
I
team.
know.
Alright.
You-
By
so-
Worlds.
Sleepy Sunday.
Last match of the day.
Sleepy
We
Sunday.
love
okay,
that.
group D. RNG just looks dominant.
Yeah.
I don't think Gen.G looks as good as they
Well, we
did
were
winning
supposed to
LCS.
remind Scoot has a
LCS.
take on
Dude,
Gen.G. Scoot, would you like to propose your Gen.G take?
the RNG and
Okay,
Gen.G.
yeah, I
take.
think RNG looks very good, but I do think it is worth noting that the draft that Gen.G took against them is extremely risky, and right when it got out of hand, that game was pretty much over.
Yeah.
Like we're talking first 10 to 15 minutes, that game was done.
Yeah.
Like, and I think RNG played it well, but I also think that Gen.G like took a huge risk in how they drafted there.
Yeah.
So it is like a little bit hard for me to be like, okay, that's a crazy win, because I think Gen.G stepped outside of their comfort zone, which is a little abnormal, and you end up with kind of a pretty lopsided victory, which props to RNG, they took care of business. But I think it is entirely possible that if we saw a fairly standard game between the two, it's 2-1 situation. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I think Gen.G still winds up 2-1. They've managed to lose a game somewhere in
I
there,
think-
even if that's the case.
I think your point's 100% spot on. I could easily see Gen.G going 3-0 this time and RNG going 2-1. I could see both these groups ending, both of these teams tied 5-1, having to play a
tiebreaker.
tiebreaker.
I think Flying Oyster get out. I don't know how.
No.
I can't really explain how it happens, but
What
But the problem
what
is I
have
have
you
to
seen out of the
sacrifice-
Flying Oysters other than beating a shitty 100 Thieves team that gives
a
you
great victory against 100
I
Thieves.
think
gives
100
you-
Thieves.
Great victory against probably one of the world's best.
So I'm
100
going to
Thieves
give you
teams
two
who
two
sells
bets
hoodies
for this
also.
group. One
Please.
is you can get 100 Thieves at 1.84 against Flying Oysters. I would take that. I do think they get one win, and that's how they get it. I
let
would
the
the
Oysters
other
get
one I
hot.
would say I think RNG versus Gen.G. 2.3 on RNG. I think is great for the rematch against Gen.G.
It's interesting because if Oysters were gonna get hot, it would have come off the back of them coming out and stomping 100 Thieves day one, and it just didn't happen. So like, do I actually think they're gonna get out? No. This is the most gapped group by far right
Yeah.
now. I
Correct.
think like it just.
I think you're going to
close,
see
dude.
Gen.G go 3-0, RNG go 2-1, Cloud9. Look, I truly believe we might get an 0-18 in a performance.
By the way, if you parlay all of if Flying Oysters does go 3-0, the odds are 100.
They don't need to
100.5.
go 3-0. That's what you're forgetting. That it doesn't need to happen.
I mean, shit. If you
can still
think,
get out.
I'm actually gonna go and
Tiny-
look at what you can get.
I'm already doing it for you now.
What if NA goes?
0-9 again.
Yeah.
I'm literally doing it.
Wait, what if NA goes 9-0?
That would be.
Why are we getting experimental?
That would
This
be
is
a
not what
billion,
this is about.
billion dollars.
All right. While you're looking at that, yeah. So on last day, I just like the
It
RNG
would
bet,
be-
and I
you
think
ready?
100 Thieves. Yeah. What is it?
0-9, 9.31.
It's not even that good.
No, it sucks.
Give me a 9-0 situation, which is, I mean, entirely possible.
All right. Two questions. One of the questions I got asked was if we are looking
9-0. Sorry, 9-0. Ready? Do you
Go
want
for
to
it.
guess what 9-0 is?
at
Just for fun.
152.
210.
You guys are so far off. 575,426.27.
Wait, that's actually
That's
worth.
amazing.
You would make
All right.
$575,000 if you bet $1 and that happened.
We're gonna have a discussion after this
Yeah,
podcast.
we'll talk about that.
We'll have it. Put $100.
All
on
right.
it, maybe.
So first question. We have two questions. First one is, as a Western fan, assuming, let's say, Fnatic and Rogue make it out of groups. I would say, do you guys want to say Fnatic second place or first place?
First.
I think second.
Fnatic's not making it out. I'm not getting on board with that. But
All right. Okay, even Cloud9. Fine. Let's say
First.
Cloud9 or Fnatic in second place, Rogue in first place. For Fnatic / Cloud9, out of the other groups, which first place team do you want to face off the least? And for me, it's JDG.
Correct. I would say it's JDG or Gen.G. I think Gen.G is going to come back with a vengeance.
Okay.
if it's Fnatic,
It's Fnatic or Cloud9. Fnatic or Cloud9. Which other team do you want to face?
If it's Fnatic specifically, I don't want to face another team from my region.
No, you. Let's just say you can't. Let's just say you're not facing Rogue.
If it's not Rogue, I mean, then I don't know. In a best of 5, I don't want to really play against Gen.G. I think they're too adaptable, and it's just way too controlled of a play style. That presents such an issue.
Okay.
So I'd rather play JDG, to be honest.
Interesting. Okay.
DRX.
You said it yourself. They get scrappy, and their timing is insane. But there are windows in there. Like there's human error at points. But I mean, it just has not been there. Like they don't.
For Rogue,
it doesn't seem like they actually make them.
Rogue, you should be matching up against like the team. I think T1 is a team I'm worried about because I just think they have so much experience that their drafting over a best of 5 is something that's super concerning.
I mean, they're wearing 2016 jerseys too, so.
I would probably not want to play against T1 if they're second place. If they're first place.
I'm the opposite of you. I think regardless, if I'm Rogue and I get first place, I want to take whichever second place team comes out of Group A, assuming it's not Fnatic or Cloud9. Like, give me T1 or.
I mean, if it is, then that's also it would suck as a fan. But
I would take the second place team out of Group A because it's the easiest region of all of them.
Yeah, I would agree with that. If I'm Rogue, I actually don't mind. I don't mind facing off against Damwon if I'm Rogue. I think Damwon is a good one to go up.
I don't mind a Damwon or an RNG, to be honest.
I don't know about RNG.
Comes out second.
I think if I had to rank it, it's like JDG, RNG are the like top 2 for me at the moment.
Well, and Gen.G.
I think if you're playing another team in your region straight out of groups in a quarterfinal in a best of 5, you really haven't played anyone from your region.
Yeah. That's why I'm saying like for
and then you add in this like mind fuck element of like you're playing mental chess with them, where like you start going back to like playoff drafts and like.
But that's why I'm not. And also as fans, I'm just not as interested in that. I think like it's more interesting like which teams do you want to avoid and which teams do you want to face off against. All right.
Agreed.
Next question is from Polyp in our Discord.
Shout out, great man.
Shout out Polyp, great man. He wants to take our reads on how much teams can adapt to the second round of group stage. He's saying that basically the meta is way more open and less consistent, as you were saying, Scoot, and like how so many different.
That is
comps.
literally that is the Rogue playbook.
It is, and we're playing through so many different lanes. So he's like, with the best of 5s, it's going to be less about how high your skill ceiling is and how well you can adapt to your opponents. So what will it take for the second rounds for this to kind of happen? I think there's kind of 2 things I want to say there. And I said this in our quick kind of overreaction video. Every team faces 2 questions, like kind of 2 hurdles. It's like 1, can they put together a cohesive strategy in draft? And then number 2 is, can they execute that strategy? And I think we've seen that like day 1, EG could have won had they played for their win condition. They didn't. We saw it with 100 Thieves, who dropped good skill-based comps into more skilled opponents and can't then execute it. I would say that is actually the biggest issue for someone like G2, EG, 100 Thieves, is their groups are so skilled. It almost doesn't matter what they draft because the other teams are so good. I think Cloud9 is good enough to adapt and potentially beat a Fnatic or an EDG. That's kind of my read.
Have you looked at their statistics?
On who?
Cloud9.
No, I mean, it must be abysmal.
I mean, I think I think overall,
abysmal is
and I do agree that the meta is like way more open. it's left it in a state where I think junglers are slightly underrated. Just in terms of like a lot of people focus on junglers prior to kind of like carry games and open it up. You look at like Inspired and what he did in the LCS. Like a lot of people looking at him to like be a success point for EG, right? But I think it's become more about letting them facilitate and almost be like what I would equate to a point guard for a team right now, and letting your lanes, wherever that strong suit is, and whoever you're leaving on an island to kind of scale, which you usually end up with some sort of kind of dichotomy between the two. But let your jungler facilitate and let him open up the map. And, you know, maybe the focus isn't on him to get a ton of kills, but play through that and make your plays off of it. Second part of this is just like, play your fucking game. Like, now you have been given an opportunity to kind of not have to step outside of your comfort zone if the meta doesn't suit you, and you are in a position where like you can play the game that was successful for you all year. So do that.
Yeah.
Like, do what made you successful. Stick to your game plan and don't play for how the other team plays.
I think the problem we're going to face
job.
is that there's teams at the top, you know, Fnatic, T1, JDG, Damn1, RNG, Gen.G, Rogue, are the teams that I think have figured out how they want to play and how they want to win. And they can just kind of continue to iterate on that. Whereas I think the problem that other teams are going to have is that they almost need to completely change the script and learn how to change the script on the fly.
They're playing catch up.
And that is going to be very hard in these best of ones. Whereas, you know, maybe Rogue, they lose one game because everyone bans out comp. Fine. But then maybe there's one game where someone doesn't and they win it, and that's enough to get out. So it's going to be hard for them to adapt. So
what I will say, because I'm over here salivating over some of these statistics at the moment, guess which team has the highest by far goal difference after 15 minutes?
RNG.
Scoot?
Don't have a take. Don't really know.
That's incredibly boring. RNG is in 6th place.
Okay.
DRX is in 1st.
JDG.
Interesting.
By a lot. 2,500 to 1,800.
Still lost the game. What does that say about their late game?
What it says is their mid to late game is actually better than, or it's -10. Yeah, their mid to late game not great. JD,
pretty abysmal.
their mid to late, the two best mid to late game ratings as you would expect because they are 3-0. JD and Rogue at 40.0 and 46.4. But what I will say, some first blood statistics, because you can still get that statistic out there quite a bit. Damn1 Kia, 100% first blood rate. Edward Gaming, first blood rate. Prioritize those early game teams.
Okay. All right. It's been a long episode, so I think let's wrap it up on that point. Please subscribe, like, join our Discord, follow us on social media at Best of 3 Network. It's been fun chatting in the Discord with everyone, sharing some kind of analysis and some tips, so please join in over there. As always, we appreciate you, and I hope you're enjoying Worlds, because it has been amazing, I think, so far.
And if you happen to be at Worlds, let me know.
It's a great Worlds.
There we go.
It's a great Worlds. Can't complain.
Well, right. I can complain. Fucking NA is 0-9. Cloud9 is 0-3.
Just keep yapping. We'll see.
All right.
See you next week.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Toodaloo.
Peace out.